Welcome to Bloodbath & Beyond. Today we review Fear Street Part 3, 1666. End the Curse.
Directed by Leigh Janiak, starring the entire cast from both 1994 and 1978. So this is the finale of the Fear Street trilogy that's been coming to Netflix for the last 3 weeks. We're going to be talking full spoilers in this because of the way that this film is done. It's the only way to do it, other than saying good lighting and cool atmosphere, even though we'll probably still say that, I'm just saying. And it's important to know that you can't watch this in reverse chronological order like some of you in the comments of the last videos have been saying. This is structured in such a way that you will spoil the previous film if you do that. So what do we like?
I'm kicking it off with the acting in this one. The sole fact that we're covering two different eras and characters playing someone from 1666 and someone from the 1990s, they did a fantastic job. Like the entire cast was spot on in both periods.
Absolutely. You're watching the movie, it's 2 hours long and you're like, oh, well, we're done, right? And then we've still got 40 more minutes back in the 90s, which is really cool. But yeah, I was impressed with everybody doing like the period piece stuff because they all had accents too. Now, I don't know how accurate they are, but they sounded pretty good to me as a Canadian.
The devil has come and cast his darkness over us.
For me, the standout performance was by Ashley Zukerman, who plays Nick Good, but in 1666, he plays Solomon Good. And the character Solomon Good was one of the highlights of that era of this trilogy. Just the story, the development, how he interacted with everyone. He had like a Sirius Black from Harry Potter look to him.
And for me, I really liked Kiana Madeira. She was obviously great in her 90s part, but her playing Sarah Fear, or the fake Sarah Fear, I guess, she was excellent. And I really liked the way that that whole story was told because it was much faster paced than I initially thought. When you see the color palette and you see like the little clips from the trailer from the previous movie, you're like, oh, okay, so it's gonna be a slow burn, much like The Witch. It wasn't at all. It was super fast paced. People are hunting her down like, you're the witch. And it's crazy that this was kind of a thing. I mean, obviously this is a fake story, but the witch hunts like back in the day are so fucked. Just a bunch of incel dudes who are trying to get laid. They get shut down, so like, she's a witch, fucking get rid of her.
Burn her, hang her, that's what you gotta do. I loved Tommy Slater in part 2, and in this version, where he was Thomas, he was just a bastard.
It really shows everybody's range extremely well. I also like the look of this. So we've talked about the purples and blues, we've talked about the greens and oranges. In this one, we've got the cold blue and black with the orange for the like the natural lighting from lanterns and stuff, and it was just great. I was never taken out of anything when it came to like the surroundings, how people were dressed, the makeups, like the amount of grime on everybody. This is excellent.
I love the story. We find out everything, and the reveal of what happened in 1666 was brilliant. It was one of those things that you wouldn't have saw coming. And I think they did a great job leaving it to that final moment to blow the audience away with what the truth is behind Sarah Fear.
And had they not come with a mob mentality and like gone underneath the house, she would have never found out that this son of a bitch and the goods have sold themselves to the devil. Yep. Wild. And seeing like it go through time and show you that, oh, okay, so literally Shadyside has been a shit town simply because Sunnyvale has the goods in it. Like, that's just too cool. And then when we kick back into 1994 and you start to see that darker side of good and the way that the kids are trying to corner all of the villains was super fun as well. We're back to our black lights with the greens and all the different colors with the Super Soaker 50, or was it Super Soaker 100?
It was the 50s.
Those were like the best. I just think that was a cool concept because they lock them all in their cages and then let them out when good gets there.
Might I add, Martin having his moment was hilarious. We had this great comic relief when they decide to go to Martin's house and just be like, hey, you want to kill Nick Good?
Let me get my coat.
I guess he was like the only person that like we've only seen a little bit of in like the first one. I did think that was weird because they made it like a big revelation when he saw like the paint. Like, wait a second, he set me up. Like, yeah, he told you he did already. And even in the flashback, it showed him already like knowing that he set him up. and is likely the reason why he's there to kill him in the first place. A little misstep, but it is what it is.
Despite not having many kills, I really liked the gore. I thought whatever we got to see on screen, it felt painful.
The fucking hand? Oh my god, I felt that pain.
And when you saw all the kids with their eyes gouged out, like that was creepy.
Yeah, poor little Henry. Imagine walking into a room and just seeing a pile of eyes on the floor.
And one of the funnest moments in this film was the slasher showdown, where we had like a fatal four-way with every like slasher trying to kill each other. It was fun.
Yeah, if we did a monster brawl nowadays with those guys, hell yeah, let's go. But more of that little guy with the bat.
I know, we need little Billy Barker. He was too busy just hitting the little gumball machine.
Get that free candy, my man.
And more Ruby Lane.
Now, what didn't we like? I was gonna talk about the pacing and how I felt deceived. I think that was what's weird. Is like when you're like, how is there still an hour left of this movie? And then they go back to the 90s. It's not necessarily a dislike because the pacing was fine, but I would have liked that 90s one to be a different movie or be shorter. I just feel like it could have been like a fourth part of like 1994 too, and then that would be the finale, because the way that the 1600s one wrapped up was good.
As much as they gave part 2 time, it felt rushed in certain aspects, but also dragged on in certain scenes. Like when they were doing the montage and retelling the history of what we just watched, like that was dragged out. But going to see Ziggy and being like, Nick Good's the bad guy, let's go get Martin, let's set traps, let's kill him. It was like bang, bang, bang. I want some breathing room, and we didn't get that.
Now would we complain like, oh, it's too slow, and it's a 3-hour movie?
Yeah, I know, right?
Now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings. This whole series has been pretty great, especially watching them as they're released like week after week. It's been super fun, and this was a great way to cap it all off. We got all the lore that we wanted that seemed to be excluded from the other entries, and we had this little like period piece in the 1600s that was great. And with the same actors playing different roles, I really enjoyed myself. It was much faster paced than I imagined, and then when it got to the 90s, the showdown with all the killers and like the Home Alone style like montage of setting up the traps and stuff, it's just fun. And I think that's what this whole trilogy boils down to. I had a lot of fun with it. They're not perfect films, even though our scores are pretty high. It's just a fun time, and you definitely want to watch all 3 of them. I mean, if you got this far, I hope you already did. I don't have much to gripe on in this movie aside from like the few things we've mentioned, so I'm gonna give this 4.5 Konami codes out of 5.
It's the ultimate secret code. Super Contra Castlevania.
I was really worried with this film because generally the third ones, they're not the best when it comes to trilogies, but I surprisingly found this to be the best one of all 3 films. I had the most fun watching it. I loved the story. The whole idea of coming to think Sarah Fier is the villain and finding out that it was Solomon Good, I didn't see it coming, especially given how much part 2 made us believe Nick Good was like the nicest guy ever. They just did a good job tying all 3 films in together. I liked how it was paced, other than the fact in part 2, 94, it just felt kind of rushed, and it felt like they were throwing things in there just for the sake of having it in there. We got to see more slashers, and they had an awesome slasher battle. This was just a really fun time. It just felt like a happy ending, so I was left happy. And with that being said, I'm gonna give this film 4.5 Discmen out of 5.
If you want to hear more than one album, you gotta carry all that too. Plus it skips if you breathe on it.
Then listen to the radio, dude.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film. Let us know what your favorite movie from the franchise has been so far. I have a sneaking suspicion that we're gonna have more based on that little cliffhanger we got of somebody taking the book. Is it gonna be Shady Side trying to get back at Sunnyvale? What do you guys think is gonna happen next? Let us know in the comments. Like this video. If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with everything here on Bloodbath and Beyond.